Hi everyone, this video will be a little bit different to my usual videos. I'm sure we're all aware of the cost of living increase, but that made me think, is the cost of crafting increasing too? So back in 2022, I made a few big batches of soap and calculated how much it cost me at the time. For this comparison, I'm not going to be including startup expenses like equipment and tools. I'm also not going to include labour or packaging. But if you would be interested in seeing how the costs of those compare, let me know in the comments and I'll make a follow-up video. So purely for ingredients, back in 2022, this bar of soap would have cost me 89 pence to make. Now I'll try to put up all the converted figures on screen for those of you outside of the UK. To make this fair, I will be using a currency converter that also takes into account when I'm converting. So I'll be using the exchange rates of pounds to euros and dollars in August 2022 and the current conversion rate for 2025. Because of this, the percentage increase will differ between the currencies because it's based on the exchange rate at the time. Now, obviously that leaves quite a bit of room for profit, even after including packaging and any other fees related to selling, like pitch fees if you sell in person at markets, or the percentage cut that websites like Etsy would take. So how much would it cost me to make this very same bar in 2025? Leave your prediction in the comments below and we'll see how close you are at the end of the video. I will be going through each ingredient one by one, but whilst researching this video, I was surprised at how many ingredients weren't actually available from my previous suppliers, how many have been completely discontinued, and how many were just way harder to find than they used to be. So all my soaps had the same base and then just had a few extra or different ingredients for the different variants that I made. I'm gonna go ahead and start with just the variant ingredients because I think there'll be less of a difference there. So first up is the fragrance oil. About half the fragrance oils that I used in my variants are discontinued. So I had to pick a variant where it wasn't discontinued, so that's why I've gone with my Snow Fairy dupe soap. This 1 litre bottle of fragrance oil in 2022 cost me $55.99. Now about 3 years later, that's up to $59.99, an increase of about 7%, which is probably what I'd expect over that period of time. Next up, we have the pink and blue micas. In 2022, they cost me £2.40 for 10 grams, and this one was a pleasant surprise because the cost is exactly the same in 2025. Well done to Shopfeet, I'll put a link to them in the description below, particularly for my UK viewers. Then we have titanium dioxide, which I thought was way harder to find now than it was a few years ago. I googled it and I think it's because it was actually banned as a food additive in 2022, so there's just less demand for it and therefore less supply. But anyway, in 2022, a 50 gram bag cost me $4.99. In 2025, that's up to $7.99, which is a pretty significant increase of 60%. So we go back to Shopfeet again for the pink and blue biodegradable glitter. In 2022, 5 grams of this cost me £3.40, and shockingly, in 2025, or as of now, the price is currently £2.89, which is a 15% reduction. It is currently on sale, but I have to give it to Shopfeet that they've not increased their prices on yet another product. Now onto the base ingredients, and I think we'll see a real difference here. First up is castor oil, and in 2022 this 1 litre bottle would set me back £7.89. Now the same bottle in 2025 is £10.19, a 29% increase, which you definitely feel it in your profit margins, especially if soap making is your main source of income. So the next ingredient on my list is sweet almond oil. This one as well I bought in 1 litre bottles. In 2022 it cost me £6.49. Now in 2025 that's up to £8.99 for 1 litre, a 39% increase. I definitely think that the base ingredients have seen more of an impact from this cost of crafting crisis. Next we have shea butter, which in 2022, 2 kilos of it would have cost me £16.50. This one had the smallest increase for the base ingredients, going up to £17.58, which is only a 7% increase. Now, coconut oil is used in cooking and cosmetics, so I was expecting quite a big increase here. This 1 kilogram tub cost me £4.05 in 2022. Now in 2025, it would cost me £8.95. That's a 120% increase. Now, lye is a must-have ingredient for making soap. I used to buy it in 5 kilo tubs off of eBay, and I found it really easy to find in bulk back then. Now it's way more difficult. But anyway, back in 2022, that 5 kilo tub would have cost me £18.99. And now the closest equivalent of it that I can find is £24.50, a 29% increase, which again will really affect any profits because you need lye to make any kind of soap. So I've purposely saved olive oil for last. It has become a bit of a meme how much the price of olive oil has increased with the cost of living, so I was preparing myself for a massive increase. In 2022, a 1 litre bottle of olive oil set me back £2.39. Now in 2025, that was up to £5.69. As expected, this was the largest increase with a staggering 138%, and it definitely seems that oils that are used for food as well as cosmetics are sort of getting double the amount of inflation as the other ingredients. So back to my initial question, how much will this bar cost me to make today, considering that about 3 years ago in 2022, it cost me 89p? Well, this would now cost me £1.24 to make, which might not seem like a big difference, only 39p, but it's a 33.3% increase, pretty much exactly a third. Now, if you only make soap as a hobby, that increase is probably manageable. I'd like to make soap again soon, and this extra third as a one-off every now and again doesn't really put me off. But the people who rely on soap to make their income, I feel like are going to be hit really hard with this increase, even with their discounts that they probably get for buying in bulk. If you make your living or have a soap business, I'd be so pleased if you could let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I also worry that making and crafting are often hobbies to distract you from real life and get a bit of you time. And if the price has gone up by a third in 3 years, where will it be in another 3? And will it be as relaxing or rewarding if the price tag is that much bigger? I'm also really interested to hear from you guys about your crafts and hobbies. Has the cost of crochet increased just as much? Do you get less bang for your buck when you're baking now? Let me know how the cost of your crafts has changed over the last few years in the comments below, and maybe we'll even figure out which craft has increased the most. Thanks for watching, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you again soon.